Peace, 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 world. What's going on? Welcome to Substantial Weekly. My name is Substantial. Glad to see y'all. And y'all, man, clap it up for yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you need a warm hug from yourself. I don't know, whatever makes you feel good. Regardless, man, I'm happy you're here with me. Yeah, man, for those who don't know, if it's your first time tuning in, I do a weekly update, updating folks on what's going on with upcoming projects, upcoming events, shows, etc., etc. Yeah, man, lots of good things. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do so that way you don't miss all the goodness. All right, first and foremost, peace to everyone in the chat. Those of you who are behind the scenes but haven't commented yet, if you don't know how this goes, make sure you say peace. Let me know where you're tuning in from, all that good stuff. Shout out to Joshua McGee up in here. Always good to see you, brother. Hope all is well with you and yours. Yeah, man. So a lot to catch y'all up on. Not sure how long we're gonna go today. We'll see how it goes. I know some folks join us a bit later. So right when I'm about to wrap up, yeah, bring me in and we just keep on flowing. So today, just to let you know what we're gonna talk about, a couple things going on. Gonna update you on what's going on with Kickstarter, some developments there. Also talk about what's going on with the album, a lot of developments there. And oh my goodness, upcoming events. And there was something else. I feel like there was one more thing. That might have been it. But yeah, man, that's the main thing we're going to be focused on today. Shout out to more folks joining us in the chat. My man, Early Bird. Good to see you, bro. Peace, peace. All right. On Facebook, we got Marquise. Peace. What's up, fam? My cousin's name is Marquise. And his birthday was yesterday. So happy birthday to my cousin Marquise. All right. Nova, peace. What's going on? Big Apple in the building. NYC. All right. And we got Frank. What's going on, Frank? Good to see y'all, man. Happy Friday to everybody. I hope y'all got a restful or exciting weekend coming up, or a combination of both. You know what I mean? Whatever makes you feel good, you know. But yeah, man. Happy Friday. So let's get into it. Once again, quick reminder: if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. And if you want to make sure that I don't miss your question, a lot of times we have a lot of questions come in. I usually get to all of them. But to ensure that I get to yours sooner than later, feel free to use the super chat or super sticker, however you want to support the channel. It's always greatly appreciated, but never mandatory. All right. So yeah, man. But let's get into it. So first and foremost, a couple different things to update y'all on. And let's talk about the one that is the most immediate. So shout out to the homies at Words Beats in Life. They are putting together an awesome event, man, that I'm very excited to be a part of. Hey, shout out to Warpath who just joined us. Also, nice afro, and that guy Frankie. What up, family? Good to see everybody. But yeah, man, as I was saying, got a big event this weekend that I will be one of the guest judges, along with Odyssey, Nonchalant, who's a legend in the DMV if you're not familiar, O Slice, and Ciroc, who's also super dope. But yeah, man, we'll be guest judges at the first ever Words Beats in Life Combine Finals. So for those who don't know, man, it's a literary decathlon for poets, MCs, songwriters. Super dope. It's really groundbreaking. They do lots of different things, man. From like a compliment battle to, like, you know what I mean, like reciting other pieces and stuff, whether it's like pieces that were written by other folks and reciting their own original material. It's really interesting, man, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But yeah, I will be hosting that tomorrow. For those of you who are in the DMV and you are interested in checking out this event, you can go ahead and cop your tickets by clicking the link in the description of this video. But great to be a part of this, man. Looking forward to linking with Nonchalant and Odyssey. Haven't seen them in a minute. Looking forward to meeting Ciroc. She's super dope. Been a fan of hers for a minute. So and looking forward to meeting No Slice as well. And of course, all of the talent that's going to be competing. But yeah, man, should be dope. But yeah, so that is the upcoming event that is happening tomorrow, as I mentioned. I know in the last 2 weeks I mentioned an event I was supposed to be doing in Baltimore that's temporarily postponed. I'm supposed to schedule a new date with them, and once that is confirmed, I will let y'all know when that is taking place. Shout out to the homie. Who else I talked to this week, man? I talked to a lot of different folks. Shout out to IQ. Been in talks with him about the potential of a tour. So we're talking about a US tour. We'll see what happens. I know he got an album coming out, and obviously so do I. So yeah, man, that's in the works too. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Yeah. So let's get into the next event that's upcoming. As I mentioned before, we got sketch pads coming live to Farpoint, which is in Hunt Valley, Maryland. So for those of you in Northern Maryland who are looking forward to the next con, that's the next con that I'll be at, and we'll be doing sketch pads Sunday, February 12th at 11 a.m. at Farpoint. But we will be there all weekend long. It's a sci-fi convention. And they got all types of different things there outside of sci-fi as well. You might see some animated related stuff and a lot of dope cosplay and all of that. But definitely come through, come check us out. Of course, we'll have lots of merch and cool things at the merch table and all of that. And if you're not able to make these events, but you want to get some cool merch, make sure you check the website. Of course, that link is in the description of the video too. All right. And next up is an event that people have been asking me about for a while, and some homies that I'm collaborating with on sketchpads at Farpoint. Shout out to Artway Alliance, who's a partner of Substantial Art and Music, and of course, shout out to Words Beats and Life, who are also our partners. But they invited us to join them at KatsuCon with Farpoint. So it looks like I will actually be in attendance for KatsuCon 2023. We will have a table set up. I'll give details on that soon too. So if you plan on being at KatsuCon in National Harbor, Maryland, you can catch me there at the Artway Alliance and Farpoint table. And we'll have merch there, and we're working on a sketchpads contest with details coming on that soon. All right. Let's see. Yeah, man. I love the love that everyone in the chat shows each other, man. It's super dope. And shout out to those of you watching on Twitch as well as Facebook too. All right. But yeah, man. So those are the updates on the events. Let's get into some other things. Also, quick reminder, if you haven't checked the song out yet, I do have a new joint that's out right now. It's called Keep On with myself, Komochi, and the homie Uyama Hiroto. Definitely check that out, streaming everywhere. Link should be in the description of this video. I believe I kept it in there. So if you're one of the few people who haven't heard it yet, make sure you check that out. But let's keep it moving, shall we? All right. Up next. All right. Let's talk about Adultish. Update y'all on what's going on with the Kickstarter. I am still waiting for about 32 people. 32 people have yet to complete their surveys. Now, I can start rolling out certain perks and stuff like the digital perks. I've begun work on those and some of the physical stuff as well. But hold on. All right, just saw that comment. But yeah, man. So I'm working on like things behind the scenes, making sure that I'm compensating the different artists who are contributing to the project, paying for some of the merchandise, and designing some of that stuff behind the scenes as well. So if you are waiting to get your perks, part of the holdup, I'm definitely in need of 32 more people surveys. So if you haven't done your survey yet, please do that, because basically what it's going to do is going to allow me to organize things in a certain way. So when I begin rolling this stuff out, I don't have to do double work. I don't have to send out like multiple blasts for certain things. I'll be able to send it out once. And if people contact me saying they didn't get it, I can reference the thing that they got because everyone was sent that particular thing at the same time. Versus if I send it out now and certain surveys have not been completed, then I have to circle back, see who email I was missing, see whose social media info I was missing, so they didn't get their perk at the same time that other people got theirs. So if you can help me out, if you haven't completed yours yet, please do so. All right. I appreciate you. Let's get back to the chat. Let's see. Yeah, man. All right. Showing here too, because why not? Hey, that's what's up, man. I appreciate the love. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, what's going on, Happy Mochi? Is there any way someone can contribute if they missed the Kickstarter? No worries, no worries. So good news. In probably a few weeks, waiting to finish up certain aspects of the album. But once certain things are done with the album and certain merch is finished being physically created, we will be adding those items to both Sub Art and Music's official store, my company, Substantial Art and Music. So you'll be able to grab it there. And these items will also be added to Bandcamp. So you'll be able to support on either one of those platforms. Either way is good. All right. Peace. The surveys are for those who contributed on Kickstarter, nephew. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Tell your pops I said peace too. All right. But yeah, so again, those of you who already completed your surveys, thank you so much. Those of you who still need to complete your surveys, and that's only if you've already backed the Kickstarter campaign, which has come to an end. Make sure you do that if you have not done the survey yet. All right. Now, let's keep it moving. We flying today because it ain't a whole lot to cover. And I don't know if you've heard my stomach. My stomach is doing a whole lot in the background right now because I have not eaten lunch. And all I had for breakfast was an orange. I'm slipping today, son. I usually get it in on Fridays, you know what I mean? But your boy ain't doing what he's supposed to. So we're probably gonna wrap early. I'm just letting you know. All right. But anyway, here is some adultish information for you. Um, Basically, man, the features list is growing. Some of these will be features in the traditional sense where you'll see like featuring blah blah blah. And they'll have a verse or they're playing live instrument. But some of these features are a bit different. For example, Black Root is on a track on the album. He does the intro. He introduces the track, and then and he does this chant, which I sample, which is the main chorus for the particular song. DJ Hobb contributed cuts to a joint, which is also the same joint that features Tamara Wellens. DJ RBI just submitted his cuts for a track that features T. Lucas, which both of these two tracks that I'm talking about are classics, man. Like, really love it. But the two, actually three new additions to the features for the record are DJ Hive, DJ RBI, and Millen. I literally received their contributions to the record this week. So the album is coming together and shaping up real nice, man. Super, super excited. I thought it said Black Thought for a second. Hey, man, don't get folks too excited. You know what I mean? Like, it would be dope. Maybe someday. From your lips to God's ears, right? Maybe someday. But as of right now, I know a ton of artists with Black in their name, and they are all dope in their own right. Shout out to Black Root because he's a Grammy nominated artist, man. Really talented beatboxer and hip hop vocalist as well. So yeah, man. But again, the features / guest appearances include Black Root, DJ Hobb, DJ RBI. Marcus D has contributed via like giving me stuff to sample and helping with production in that way. So that's how he's contributed so far. We talked recently about him doing like some piano contributions to one or two tracks on the record. We'll see what happens with that. Of course, I'll keep you posted. Malcolm Jackson, actually, he's a percussionist. He usually contributes by playing vibes or excuse me, by playing vibes or kalimba. But on this album, he actually co-produces a track with me where he's playing drum set. So that's super dope. That track is one of the two that are not fully realized yet, but we're close to finishing those. Matthew Shell actually contributed the record by he sends me songs, like unreleased songs of his from time to time, that are all instrumental joints with him playing live guitar and other instruments on it. And he sends me those for me to flip in the samples and stuff. So Matthew Shell contributed by in that way. He sent the particular track of his that was unfinished, had me chop the sample and stuff. I reworked it for instrumental on the album, which has him playing guitar throughout. and it's really, really dope, man. It came out really dope. So can't wait for y'all to hear it. Millen contributed on a track on the album. I just got his vocals this morning. Like I woke up to his vocals and it is fire. Yeah, man. So can't wait for you to hear that. T. Lucas I already mentioned, and so did I mentioned already mentioned Tamara Wellens too. But that's what's happening with the record so far. You know, for those of you who caught the Substantial Weekly that I did the night before my birthday, for those who missed that one, go check that one out because I played 2 of the tracks from the project. And yeah, man, and one of those tracks is a bit different. It's not a bit different. It's has some new additions to it that wasn't there when I played it for y'all before. But that's what's going on with the features, man. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess at this point, let's talk about the record. For those of you who got questions, peace. Hey, peace, God. What's going on, Roger? Good to see you up in this joint. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, man. So at this point, if you got questions about the record, let me know. You got questions in general, always appreciate it. Remember, super chats are open, so you can support that way if you want. Not necessary, but always appreciate it. Of course, that's how we keep this channel running and all that good stuff, and it helps to fund the different things that I'm doing. So but yeah, man, peace. What's going on? Again to Roger. Yes, Joshua, that night was jumping, man. It was a good time. Eric, thanks, man. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. I'm super excited. In other news, I recently there was a song that I did a while ago, which with an artist named Mattis that is from Europe. And it was one of my favorite collabs that I did. I think it was in 2021. Hadn't come out yet, but he recently sent me the master of that, and it's supposed to drop in March. So I'm super excited for y'all to hear that joint. It's really dope. It's a vibey track, and the lyrics are really powerful. And I think yeah, man, I think y'all will enjoy that. For those of you who are on Patreon, I'll be dropping that next month on Patreon. Once I get these mixes from the upcoming album, I'll start like feeding those back into Patreon as I was doing before. I know things have been slow over there, but no worries. More stuff is coming soon. All right, so let's get back to the chat because I think I saw a question pop up. Have you and Shell watched the 1619 project yet? Man, is a pig pork? Of course we have. So we started watching that last night. For those who don't know about the 1619 project, I highly recommend you check it out. It documents African-American history here in this country and Black people's relationship with the United States. You know, and man, it's probably one of the most thorough one of the more thorough things that you would read. My wife has read the book. I have not, but I did start watching the documentary with her yesterday, and it's powerful. So definitely recommend that you check that out. It's on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. But thanks for the question, Kev. I appreciate you, bro. Also, man, if y'all haven't checked out me and Early Bird's song/music video called Don't Dim Your Light, I played it on the channel back on January 6th during the live. Highly recommend you checking that out. All right. She's coming to Fairfax County Library, but there's a waiting list. Wow. Yeah, I'm sure, man. I'm sure. She definitely draws a crowd when she comes to speak, man. I'll give Shell heads up. I think she's already seen her in person though. But I will give her heads up to see if she's interested. All right. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like there may be something I'm missing. Oh, so let me give you this info. So for those who didn't get a chance to back the Kickstarter, I just did an update there. It is a public update, so everyone can see it. But let me give you this info real quick. So I mentioned the features before, and I'm gonna bring that screen back up so y'all can see it. But yeah, man. So Again, these are the features from the records, but like one of the things I did in the breakdown for the new features who I just announced, which is DJ Hobb, DJ RBI, Millen, and Matthew Shell. For those of you who do not know who these people are, because I know how this works. If I can bring certain people in, those bigger names and stuff, of course, you know, that gets the oohs and ahs and blah, blah, blah. Whether those songs are actually better than the songs I do with people you don't know are up for debate, right? Because obviously the well-known artists have a certain special place in your heart, depending on how long you've been listening to them. But let me give you some context in terms of what music I've done with some of these people that you don't know, or specifically the ones that I just added. DJ Hoff, for those of you who haven't heard his work, or don't know his name off the top, songs like "Check My Resume," the cuts that were on there were done by him. "Righting My Wrongs" from Bop Alloy's second album. He did the cuts on that, and he also did the cuts on Made in Maryland. So if you like any of those songs in particular, you like the scratches that were on those records, that was courtesy of DJ Hive. He does great work. He came through again. It's a classic moment on the record, and it's kind of unexpected on the song. So yeah, man, I can't wait for y'all to hear that. DJ RBI is known for the cuts that he did on the New Balance. So if you like the song The New Balance that I did with T. Lucas, and you like the work that he did on there, it was very much for those of you who are fans of DJ Premier and how he cuts up the hooks on certain songs or certain parts of certain songs. If you like that, yes. That is he gave more of that on the album, man. And that my man don't miss. He does not miss. Matthew Shell, you might remember the cuts that, not the cuts, you might remember him playing guitar on MLK 2.0 from Off the Past is Present in the Future. So if you like those vibes, and you like what Matthew Shell does, he plays guitar on the record again. The difference is in this particular case, I'm actually sampling him. So it's a bit, that track has a very different feel than MLK 2.0, but it is fire nonetheless. And then Millen, most of you know Millen from Your Greatest Weapon, and then the song that we did on his project called Figure It Out. So if you enjoyed either one of those tracks, definitely Millen, man, he has a great voice, and he is no slouch and does his thing on the record, on this record too. So that's just a little background on the folks that recently contributed to the record, and giving you an idea of what you can expect from them. Now, let's go to the chat. Let's see. Stan, I'm wanting to ask you, what's your advice for struggling young artists starting their career and follow their passion, especially financially? Could use some guidance. In terms of the financial part, I would give you the same advice I would give any artist, not artist, just person in general, right? Like really figure out what your monthly budget is. Because for a lot of people who struggle to kind of struggle with their finances, pardon me, can't talk. Not like got congested all of a sudden. For a lot of artists who struggle with finances and people in general, part of it is because people don't know what their monthly budget is in terms of how much money you need to cover rent, how much each of your bills cost, what expenses you have in terms of travel, like whether it's you're commuting to work via your own car or train or whatever, or bus. But then also any other expenses that you might have, right? And then figuring out on average, how much am I spending on myself, like to go out and do basic things. And then what am I spending, like bills, and what am I putting in savings, right? So what I suggest, whether you're an artist or not, is figuring out what your monthly budget looks like, right? And then taking a look at how much money you're making, whether it's from your job, from your art, if you've already begun freelancing and stuff like that. Have those numbers in front of you. And then start to set your goals, right? if you don't already have certain goals mapped out, but set some goals outside of just what type of project you'd like to complete, or what place you'd like to go, or just like maybe it's like goals for your physical or mental health. Like, it's cool, have all those goals too, but set financial goals too. You know how much you make right now. Maybe by next year you want to make double that or the following. So like sometimes set goals based on like what numbers you need to be at or that you'd prefer to be at, which you think would make you a bit more comfortable financially, and then work backwards. Figure out based on what you're currently doing how you can get there. So for a lot of artists, right? Like, it's tough because there's competition out here in terms of if you're freelancing and you're doing work for other people. Sometimes you're scared to charge too much because you think that you haven't done enough, right? Or there are other people that are doing it for cheap. But you got to think about, you got to put a price. The price isn't so much about those other things. Sometimes it's about what you believe your time is worth, right? And that's what it is. So when I ended up raising my price, right, about, I want to say, is right before the past is always present in the future. Like, I raised my price for collabs, or it was right after, actually. I raised my price for collabs significantly. And then I did the same thing for my graphic design. And the reason for that was what I realized, I was doing a lot of work, but I still was barely getting by, right? Um, you know, and at the time I still had a job. So like, I mean, I was relying a lot on the money I was making from my job, not so much what I was making from the music. But then when I changed how much I was charging for collabs, like my reasoning for that was like, if I get a bunch of people that say no, let's say I'm charging one rate, and then the rate I pushed it to was 3 times higher, right? And then I get hit up to do 4 collabs. And of those 4 collabs, only one of them agree to doing it after hearing what my new rate is. The other, and then the other 3 say no. Now, if I had done it the way before, with the old price, which was 3 times less, I would have had to do 3 of those collaborations to make a certain amount of money. Now, even if with the 4 people, if only one of them say yes, I get the same amount of money that I was getting for doing 3 times the work. You see what I'm saying? So what I realized was it freed up more of my time to work on things for me. And it took some of the pressure off of trying to do so much outside stuff on top of trying to do things for me, right? So and that may be difficult to do in the beginning, but I think this is a goal you need to be working toward, just something to keep in mind. All right, I hope that helps, bro. New Balance was straight fire. I can't even describe how hard it is, man. Thank you so much, fam. Mr. Substantial laugh out loud. How does a brother go about fighting off temptation of the red meat? I've cut it out of my diet, but those voices are getting louder. Man, listen, the first thing I tell people, right, about like when you switch up your diet is, number one, don't lie to yourself, right? Like, in terms of, I didn't give up red meat because because I didn't like how it tastes, right? Like, I wasn't like, burgers are nasty, son, or steak is nasty, son. Like, you know what I mean? I gave it up because, I knew that I have an addictive personality, which means that if I like something and I have access to it, I'm gonna be out of control. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm probably gonna eat more of it than I need to eat, just because I can. And I know plenty of people like that. And I don't judge people for being that way because I get it. You know what I mean? So what I ended up deciding to do was, the more I learned about red meat and how it, um, the different ways we prepared it, but not just that, like how it was harder to digest and all of these different things. I started thinking about how it could potentially lead to other problems that my family were struggling with in terms of their health. And I just made a decision early on in my life to be like, hey man, I'm trying to be around as long as I can. I got family members who checked out, like, yo, I'm literally 2 years shy of the age my father was when he passed, which I know I've said a bunch of times, right? But that's partly because not so much his diet, but because of other habits that he had in terms of smoking and things like that. But food plays a huge role in this too, and there are a lot of cancer causing agents in different food, and like for example, you know, smoked meat in particular or whatever can contribute in ways to cancer that people typically associate with like smoking and cigarettes, but like eating smoked meats can have those same effects, right? And then when you go to something like beef, in terms of what it does like to your digestive system and and it's not something that you need to eat all the time. So I would say this, just slow your intake, right? Like you ain't got to try to just give it up cold turkey, but I would just say make a conscious effort to eat less of it first. And then start to do some research, find some alternatives, right? But be careful with the alternatives that you find for it, because some of those alternatives, they might be easier to digest, but then they might be higher in sodium. So when you find the replacement, it doesn't mean that you need to eat that replacement for beef all the time, right? Even that should be something that's a once in a while thing. I'm not eating veggie burgers every day, son. I'm not even eating them more than like maybe once a week and sometimes less than that. So that's what I would suggest. I mean, that was ultimately what I've done, but I'm also not a dietitian, right? Like, or a nutritionist. So, talk to your doctor or talk to a specialist in particular, because even your doctor doesn't always have that information. All right. But yeah, man, thank you for the question. All right. Nova says, perfect timing for Warpath to ask question. I'm looking to open up art commissions this week. Dope. Best of luck, nephew. All right. Solid advice. For my case, I'm leaving my current job that's outside of the field I graduated college and finally starting to get into graphics and a bunch of other big life changes coming. Man, that's awesome. I'm excited for you, fam. Best of luck. I know it's scary. You got this though, bro. Just stay focused. And remember that some of the returns that you're going to see from walking this path, they're not going to always be instant, which is extremely difficult when you need money right away. But some of these things that you're doing are going to lead to big things down the road if you stay the path, stay the course. All right. So hang in there, fam. I wish you the best of luck. That's what's up. All right. Any talk future project with DL? Yo, you know what's funny? I just spoke to DL today. Like when I say today, I mean literally about an hour before I started getting ready for the show today. And yeah, man, we don't really we're just enjoying the conversation a lot of times. It's not always about like making new stuff. I will bring it up to him. But it's funny today, like we talk so much about things we're working on. Speaking of DL, man, check out his new joint, Blendism, I think is how it's pronounced. It's like a blend of a bunch of his joints and stuff. It's really dope. Definitely check that out. Add that in the rotation. Just dropped today. All right, I think that joint is killing right now, on its way to 10,000 streams already. But yeah, man, of course, I love DL. So when the opportunity arises to do more stuff, I am 100% down. A lot of times we don't collab maybe as much as we'd like to, not because we don't want to, but more so it's just like we got so much stuff going on that we don't always circle back to doing it. But yeah, man, I'll see what we can do. I'll keep you posted. Y'all will be some of the first to know if it happens in the near future. You know what I mean? Shout out to my brother DL. Okay. Hey, Joshua McGee, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the love, fam. Felt myself missing some people no longer here. Your song Barbecue had me reminiscing about my people. Glad my heart. Thank you for the track. Yeah, man. Calm my heart. Yeah, man. Yo, I appreciate that, fam. You know what's funny? I was just talking about that track. I feel like I've talked about it on the last one because we were talking about Sacrificial Lambs, which Barbecue was on. And yeah, man, I was just talking about it yesterday about how much I love that track and how proud of that track I was, and what I was trying to do with it. Shout out to the homie Chu Fu, my brother Chu Fu, who produced that joint. Chu Fu's more known for EDM, but he's a classically trained musician, can play multiple instruments, and just super talented, man. But shout out to him. And shout out to you, man. I'm glad you were able to reminisce to that track and found some joy in that joint. You know. And thanks for the super chat, bro. I appreciate it. Roger says, "What was your thought process when you made the track Think Different?" Thanks for the question. Yeah, so for those who don't know, man, I've always been a bit of a outcast, like a bit of an oddball, even amongst like my closest friends. Like, I have a lot of people I'm tight with where we're just into different things, you know what I mean? Like most of my inner circle aren't necessarily as into like something like comics back in the day or comic book movies and just certain things that I really, really like. Anime, you know what I mean? Like a good amount of my closest friends that they are not into it, you know what I mean? And so a lot of times when you see me like building with certain people and having these conversations or at these things, I'm not necessarily there with those folks. And so anyway, um, but outside of something like those things, which may not be as serious, just in life in general, just my line of thinking, I found was kind of it was counterculture, so to speak, you know what I mean, based on what I grew up around. And it wasn't on and I really wasn't trying to be like on some like, oh, I'm trying to be better than them. You know what I mean? It always was just like, I feel like if you paying attention, you know, people will do a thing, but then tell you not to do a thing, right? And then, but it's a slippery slope because then if you basically go talk about it, like, yeah, that's bad, people shouldn't do that. Those same people who told you not to do the thing that they're doing feel like you're somehow judging them. And because no one likes a mirror to be held up at them. And it's not so much for me, it's not a judgment thing. It's just like, yo, I was paying attention. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me that these things are blah blah blah, and like I took heed. But like a lot of folks, we say stuff, but we don't always live our lives that way. And and to be 100%, keep it 100, man. Like everyone falls short. You know what I mean? So when I was writing that song, I was just thinking about a lot of those different things that you know I remember, this is a real thing that a dude like from a neighborhood I used to live in when I was like middle school / high school age. I remember hanging with this dude who was older than me. I haven't seen this dude in like probably 20 years, maybe more than that. But I used to really look up to this dude. He was probably one of the dopest rappers I knew in my from my neighborhood or my region at the time. And like, and I hope to be as nice as him someday. And so that line where I say, like, you F little girls, I make love to women. It was a shot at this dude because I remember like looking up to this guy, but then I remember we talking one day and him seeing this one girl who was like my age. Now keep in mind, I was hanging with this dude. He was in his like early 20s. I'm like 14, 15 years old, but I looked older. So because I looked older, I spent time around a lot of older heads, and I looked older than some of the dudes I hung with, including him. And because he sometimes was hanging around me, he would see like youngins who were closer to my age. And I remember him talking about this one girl who was new in our neighborhood, and she was like 14, maybe 13 years old. And so when he was mentioning her and trying to get me to introduce, I'm like, man, that's a little girl, bro. Like, I'm like, what you doing, man? She like my age, fam. I don't even know if she in high school yet. And this dude said 13 to 30, long as they ain't dirty. And I'm like, I guess because you're a rapper, you thought that sounded cool. But like, yeah, bro, that's some trifling shit. Like that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't respect that. You know what I mean? And needless to say, over time, like, just was spending less and less time with this dude because outside of the music stuff, I didn't like what type of person he was. You know what I mean? And so that song is really like it was, and this song might come off a bit judgmental or like holier than thou. But I think in that moment when I make it, it was really just observations of different things I was experiencing, different people I saw. And yeah, so that's kind of like what some of the vibe was. I will say though, I like some of the people that song has sometimes attracted. Yeah, man, especially in this climate, like this political climate where like everybody feels like what you're saying or doing might be tied to an agenda of some or of some sort. Um and to that I say anyone who's somewhat mature or like on some type of path has an agenda. So whenever I hear people say that like the blah 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 agenda, I'm like, yo, everyone got an agenda, son. Everyone. And if you don't, I feel like you ain't living your life right. Because an agenda simply means a plan. You know what I mean? And so I think everyone has some type of plan for their life or for those they care about. And but what I found is that like a few times, not a lot, but a few times, that song, like when I've said something or spoke up about something bad that was happening to people who look like me, or people who look like family members of mine, um, sometimes I get thrown in with the quote unquote woke mob. You know what I mean? Like I haven't been doing this work or haven't been caring about these issues and speaking on these issues for like my whole life, if not my whole career. Um, so yeah, man, and they've tried to throw the song "Think Different" like back in my face, like they was doing something, like that was some type of point. And I'm like, yeah, fam, you sound crazy to me right now. Like I don't know what's wrong with you, son, but you need to grow up. So yeah, man, that song, it's an interesting record to look back on, you know what I mean? And I appreciate the question. Thank you. All right. Let's see what we got. Got a couple joints I missed. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. We need a guest appearance from Sherm soon, so I don't so that I don't miss drink reviews. Word, man. It's tough because of the day and time that I do this now. It might be tough to get him up in here because Friday is his money day for the barbershop, for the chef shop that he runs. And so yeah, but we'll see. Damn, real story behind the lyrics. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just crazy, fam. Like it is wild. Another lyric in that song where I say we both from Maryland, but be repping DC. We all front sometimes. That's how MCs be. I done met so many artists over the years that be like, that be like, yo, I'm from DC. And they from like Montgomery County, Maryland, or they from PG County, Maryland, where I'm from, or they're from Baltimore, but but like spend a lot of time in DC, or just they say DC because it's the closest big city to where we are. Like DC is the more notable city in our region. It's more popular than Baltimore. It's more popular than most cities that exist or towns that exist in Prince George's County, Maryland, where I'm from. But I've made it a point my whole career to stress that I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. And and then when I've moved and lived in other places, I acknowledge those places. I don't front like I still live in PG. Like that's not something I pretend, but that is where I'm from. I've lived in Prince George's County longer than I lived in any other place, um, in my entire life. And so I'm forever rep PG because it helped inform who I became, you know what I mean? And still influence like has influence on decisions I make day to day. But I acknowledge the fact that I lived in Brooklyn, so that's a part of me too. I acknowledge the fact that I lived in Baltimore, and my father's side of the family's from Bmore, so that's a part of me too. And that I now live in North Virginia, and I've been living here since 2012. So now I've been living here 10 years. So still lived in PG for 18 years. So it's still the place I live longest. But yeah, but that's been a major part, right? Like so again, part of Think Different was like, yo, like we got to get out of this mindset. Like, I ain't trying to judge you, son, but that ain't where you really from. And where you really from does not have a lot of representation out there for what you do. So you can be that person that really puts that area on the map. And you gotta put your city, put your town, put your county, wherever you are from, because that help you become who you become. So rep that. Don't just try to cling on to whatever the biggest city in your region is, because when you bring up that you from Maryland and they'll be like, oh, Baltimore, Or you say that, yeah, I live right outside of DC in a city called blah 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 in Maryland. Oh, so you from DC? I'm like, no, no. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. But anyway, thank you. All right, bro. That's a major red flag. It's a good thing you cut ties with him while you had a chance. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Definitely no looking back. I was like, I'm out, son. Peace, y'all. Got a dip. Hey, have a good one early. Uh, I love Think Different. There's so many people I know slash grew up with that live with that childish slash brain um not mentality. I had to move on, distance myself from that crowd. Word. And people love to be like, oh, you think you better, blah blah blah. It's like, nah, son. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm better than you per se, but I know that particular thing you're doing, that ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? Now, if that's for you, good luck with that. Hope you don't get locked up, or maybe you deserve to be locked up for doing this. My man was talking about doing, but yeah, like it's yeah, man. It's another way out here, and I'm not gonna pretend like I gotta subscribe to the same bullshit. And I try not to be overly judgmental of people who do, unless it crosses certain lines. Then I'm like, yeah, f that. I'm judging, son. I'm judging. But anyway, thank you. All right. Tactical tip. How do you write a good song? When I'm freestyling on a sick beat, I find the words and flow easier. But when I'm sitting down trying to write something, it's very hard for me to flow and find the words. Well, this is what I would say to do. If you have the ability, and it's funny, me and DL were talking about our writing processes today. So everything is trial and error, right? Like, you probably find freestyling easier. If I had to bet, I don't know you personally, so I'm just guessing, right? If I had to bet that maybe you spend more time, like, do you currently spend more time freestyling than you do writing? Because if you do, that's probably why freestyling comes a bit easier to you than the writing process. Now, I also find that when we write, we're a lot more critical, right? Like, we're really questioning if this works with that. There's a lot more editing going on, and that's sometimes why it takes a bit longer. So here's some writing tactics that I would give you that would help you. If you find the flow comes easier to you when you're freestyling, if you have the ability to record yourself, if you know what track you're going to write to, then what I would do is I'd put that track on, record myself freestyling to that track. But I would give myself what I'd do to make the freestyle a bit more challenging is I'd give myself certain subject matter. I'd listen to the beat, try to figure out what vibe I'm getting from it and what, like, subject, what's the theme of this particular song, right? Sorry, this light is like coming through. Hold on, let me adjust something real quick. Let's see if that is better. Yes, there we go. Yeah, man. Blinding Light. I should have played Marcus D, the Marcus D produced joint in the back when that happened. But anyway, yeah, so writing. So what I would do, come up with a theme or something like that ahead of time, turn the mic on, and record yourself freestyling to that particular track. Since you say freestyling comes a bit easier, freestyle to that track and try to stay on that particular theme. Record it, listen to it back, try to keep what works. If there's a lot of good stuff there that you can use, right? Write that stuff, document that stuff. Try to structure it in a way that works for the concept, and then kind of move on from there. So that's one thing I would do to help. What I typically do, not all the time, but sometimes I record myself scatting to beats, just kind of not putting the limitation of words or making sense, and really make it about flow and tone, like different tones that I like, melodies sometimes that work real nice, and I'll capture all of that in a recording. And then I go through, and the parts I really, really like, piece by piece, I go through it, like putting words to those sounds and rhythms. So when you hear certain joints where I'm really in the pocket, like really, really killing it, chances are I probably use that particular technique. And so something that DL was saying that he does, which has been helpful for him, and I'm thinking about trying it out too, um, is that he writes only a few bars at a time. And if he really likes those particular bars, then he just records those bars, right? The capture, how he flowed it, like how the flow of it is working, how the tone is, and all of that. He'll record it a piece at a time. And he finds that listening to it back listening to the track back with his vocals on it, even those short parts, sometimes help the rest of the lyrics come a bit quicker to him than when he's just playing the beat over and over again. And so I found that interesting, and it's a technique I'm gonna try out too. And also that scatting technique, shout out to my brother Kokai. That's something I got from him. You know what I mean? I heard like him lay down a scat track for like a chorus for a joint. And it was fire how he did it. And then I watched him like develop it from there into something else and all of that. And so that was a tip he gave me many, many years ago. You know what I mean? And I still use to this day. But I hope that helps. Good luck to you. All right. If it's not too personal, how's your relationship now with your sisters you mentioned you weren't in contact with way back in Emotion? Yeah, man. No. No, we don't. And it's funny, one of the ones who I was in contact with at the time, we actually had a fallout not too long ago. Like it was during I want to say during the pandemic, because they were mad at me about something I didn't know that they were mad at me about. And how was I supposed to know if they didn't tell me? If she didn't tell me. So like yeah, it's unfortunate, man, but I'm very much at a point in my life where, it's not to say I don't value certain relationships and I'm not willing to try to salvage them, but time is precious. Like we don't have forever, fam. You know what I mean? So um I'm never I can I'm at a point now where I can't put more effort into a thing than someone else is willing to put into a thing. So if you're upset with me, it is not my job to figure that out. It is your job to communicate with that with me. And if you're so upset that you don't deem it necessary to communicate that with me, and you're perfectly okay with being just cutting me off and this, that, and the third, blood or not, fam, blood, the homie, yeah, like I'm not losing sleep over that. You know what I mean? And that's just keeping it a million. Like I'm just not. So yeah, man. And so that I had that fallout with one of my sisters, and and I'm okay with it. I'm like, fam, I don't know what I did wrong I don't know what I did wrong to you, and you're not telling me what I did. And I'm not gonna waste time trying to figure that out. That's your job to let me know. And even when I approached them about it, they didn't feel the need to let me know. And so I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to live with that decision because this wasn't my decision. Because I can't apologize for something that I don't know if I don't know what I did. You see what I'm saying? And yeah. So in terms of my relationship with my sisters, I got five. Technically, all my siblings, including my brother, they're all half, right? And so like some of us grew up with each other, others didn't. And then we kind of came together and then had relationships and stuff like that. And some over time, because we lived in different places and didn't communicate as much, just kind of fell off. While others, like in two of those situations, like the sisters made decisions to not rock with me for whatever reasons. And okay, you know what I mean? So and so with my siblings that I'm still in contact with, of the three that I'm still in contact with, I'm probably uh only really, really close with one of them. And then the other two, like we talk from time to time, but we're not like super, super close, But I think part of that is time. Same thing happens with friends and certain people in your family, you know what I mean? Where it's like you get older, you have your own lives, you're doing different things. It's love when you see each other, but it's just like, yo, you're not necessarily making the same time that you did before, you know what I mean? But I appreciate the question. All right, let's see. How long do you give yourself to write a song? as much time as I need. Some days I'm working within time constraints. Like for example, when things end the day, I have an appointment at 3. So I really only have from whatever time this ends to whatever time my homie gets here. Uh, you know what I mean? To work on other things or write. So so I work within the time frames that like that I give myself, that I allot myself. And if I finish the whole thing, then cool. Now that's only for the stuff I'm working on for myself. Let me tell you something. When I'm working on something for a client, like I got a song that I got to do for artists. Shout out to Orion Song, right? So we got a new collab that we got to do. So I got to work on that this weekend. And my goal for myself is to get it done, even though he told me no rush. My goal is to get it done by mid next week at the latest. Just because he's not the only person outside of the stuff I got to do for myself. He's not the only collab that I have in the queue. And so with these collabs, man, and again, I'm sorry, like why I don't know how this happens. I just get congested at random. But yeah, man, the what's it called? Lost my train of thought. But basically, when I have a collaboration or something like that I got to do for a business, like these video games and stuff like that, a lot of times all of the details in terms of what they need from me is spelled out, right? Like where for myself, I'm figuring a lot of those things out still as I'm working on the song. But for a video game, they map the whole thing out. Like, yo, this is the character, this is their arc, this is what you can say, this is what you can't say, blah, blah, blah. And in those situations, when they give me this box, a lot of artists can't play in those boxes. They don't know how to work within those confines because they want a certain amount of freedom to do this, that, and the third. But I work extremely fast in that setting. You know what I mean? Because it takes away a lot of the guesswork in terms of, well, maybe blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I can still do that, but I can do it within a certain period of time way quicker when certain details are already laid out for me. With when it's myself, I don't rush it. And even when I'm working on it for the clients and stuff, it doesn't feel rushed for me, right? It just feels easier because information's right in front of me, where I'm still kind of figuring out that information for myself. Maybe I'm experiencing something in the world that kind of opens up things for me, right? And helps that stuff come a bit quicker. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Top 5 anime. Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Ninja Scroll, Street Fighter, the Street Fighter 2 anime. If I had to put one more. It's always tough because now you get super picky toward the end. Like, I don't know if I like that more than that. Oh man, I'm trying to debate which one. I mean, I've watched Akira so many times, but it almost feels like a generic answer. But and then now I'm debating if I like Ghost in the Shell more than I like Akira, right? Like I kind of love them both. Damn, yeah, that 5th spot, man, is tough. I don't know. I don't know. And then there was Vampire Hunter D. I used to love Vampire Hunter D. Oh, Princess Mononoke. I'll throw that one in there. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Thank you for the question. All right. Sorry to hear that, bro, but definitely admire and respect the mind state. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, no one is meant to be loved and liked by everyone, right? And family is included in that, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of times with family, we force ourselves to like certain people or have relationships with certain people because they're our blood. But I'm a grown ass man, fam. Like, I ain't got to pretend to like or try to maintain any relationship with anyone if I don't really see the benefit in doing that, or I feel like it's harmful, or I feel like there's not a mutual respect and this, that, and the third. Like, and I'm not out here trying to tell people how to be, and I don't expect them to do the same for me. So it's like, you don't want to rock with me, that's okay. That's okay. And I mean, I've learned over the years that certain relationships I've had since kindergarten, fam, with people who aren't my blood. And there's certain people who aren't my blood who are very much like family, and then there are people who are my blood that are strangers. And then I got family who were super amazing and that I'm super close with, and others not so much. Like, that's just, I feel like that's life. And yeah, man, but I don't think you need to be beating yourself up over it. Hey, Joshua, that is a great idea. I am going to get up out of here. I'm going to answer probably one more and be out. All right. What makes an artist great for you? Musical and visual. Um, I think it's a lot of different things. Like impact is part of that, right? Like how not just how they impact the world, because some artists aren't super big, right? So they don't necessarily have a global impact or even a huge impact in their community. I'm just talking about when I discover it and the impact it has on me. Like, it makes me stop what I'm doing, makes me think deeply about their work and how they see the world. And like, gives me, sometimes it makes me question certain things or research certain things. And so those things, like their impact on me and the world outside of me. That's one thing I look at. I look at like uh their technical ability, like how they've been able to master certain aspects of what they do and how masterfully they execute certain things. I look at like their willingness to take certain risk, and to try new things and to grow, and not always to just kind of appease me or their audience by doing the same thing that everyone's come to like them for. Although I don't mind getting that thing like from like different, like basically seeing what they do creatively from different perspectives and blah blah blah. But ultimately, when they decide to venture out and experiment, i.e., like Common, right? When he did Electric Circus, which is an album that a lot of his fan base did not rock with. But for me, that's one of my favorite Common albums. So things like that, consistency as well. Like, for you to be one of my favorites, or considered a great for me, it's easy to make something great one time. You know what I mean? Um, because it's all relative. Like, what a person thinks is great, another person might think is trash. So I feel like anyone can get lucky and make something great once, but to be able to consistently create greatness, um, that's different. You know what I mean? To be able to perform at a certain level consistently, um, that's what separates the greats from the one hit wonders, the fly by night folks. You know what I mean? Here today, gone tomorrow, folks. So yeah, those are some of the things that come to mind. Goat in the shell. I like that. So there's a song on my new album that's actually inspired by that title, Ghost in the Shell. You'll see it when it comes out. All right, church. All right. Thank you. Always saying that people act like it's so crazy to not want to keep relationships with people who are toxic to you, even if they're family. Word. Straight up, man. Like it's it's like people who stay in abusive relationships, and I think we typically think of abusive relationships in terms of like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or partner. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, it could be an abusive relationship in your family, right? And yeah, man, it's I wouldn't say the relationships that I had with those family members I'm not tight with were abusive per se, but there were certain aspects of, look, they felt how they felt because they didn't like something that I did. In one case, I knew what it was, um, and they didn't necessarily appreciate. They didn't appreciate that, but also when I explained the context of why it went down, they they didn't care, right? And there were circumstances that I could not control, right? I gave certain information saying that this is what it was based on information that was given to me. And they kept stressing to me, it was like, cool, as long as blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, based on what they told me, this is what it should be. And then the people who told me that I found out they gave me misinformation. So the thing took longer than expected. I went back, told my family member that, and they still treated me as though I intentionally did something wrong to them. I gave them the information that I was given, that information changed. And yeah, and it basically made me not keep my word. And I apologize for that, but it was out of my control. And yo, that literally forever changed our relationship. And I just realized that I didn't have to continue to be around this person who judged me from this one mistake that literally was out of my hands. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. And it was just like, you don't have to be around that. So I don't lose any sleep over it. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, and it shouldn't have to be that way. But I also know, I'm like, yo, life's too short. It is what it is. And yeah, man, you do what's best for you and your energy, man. Protect your energy at all costs. You know what I mean? Because people sometimes, we love them, but people can be exhausting. They really can. I'm sure there's some people who feel that way about me, and so them not wanting to be around me, okay. You know what I'm saying? It's all right, because I don't have to try to pretend to be something I'm not to appease them. And I don't expect them to do the same. So let that be the theme of the weekend, fam. Protect your energy at all costs. Do what makes sense for your life, your family, and decide how you're gonna move forward from there. On that note, let me get up out of here. I appreciate y'all so much, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Shout out again to all the folks who backed the campaign via Kickstarter. Shout out to all my Patreon supporters as well, and all of that good stuff. But until next time, man, I'll see you soon. We'll talk to you sooner. Peace, 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 peace.